The alien ships appeared in Earth's sky without warning. They were massive, stretching kilometers across the darkness of space like floating cities made of metal and light. Daehyun stood in the United Nations building, watching the live feed with his hands pressed against the conference table. His heart pounded in his chest. This was it, first contact, the moment humanity had dreamed about for centuries. They're broadcasting a message, Soman said from her seat. She was Earth's top scientist, a woman who had spent her entire life studying the possibility of alien life. Now that life was here, floating above their planet like gods. It's in multiple languages. They've been studying us. The message played on every screen in the room. A creature appeared, tall and thin with skin that shimmered like oil on water. Its voice was translated into perfect Korean, English, Mandarin, and dozens of other languages simultaneously. People of Earth. We are the Galactic Collective. We represent 847 species from across the galaxy. We have come to bring you into our great community. You will have a place among the stars. Daehyun felt hope surge through him. This was everything they had wanted. Peace, knowledge, a future among the stars. But then the creature continued speaking, and the hope died in his throat. Your world is what we call a death world. Your gravity is too strong. Your diseases too dangerous. Your weather too violent. You have evolved in harsh conditions, and this makes you unsuitable for standard membership. You will serve the collective as laborers. You will mine asteroids, build stations in dangerous space, and work in conditions where normal species cannot survive. This is your purpose. Silence filled the room. Daehyun looked around at the other diplomats. Hyunwoo, the military advisor, had his jaw clenched tight. The representatives from other nations looked shocked, angry, confused. What if we refuse? Daehyun asked, though the creature couldn't hear him yet. They hadn't opened communications both ways. Captain Jeon entered the room then. She wore her military uniform and her face was grim. Our satellites are picking up more ships. Hundreds of them. They're surrounding the planet. Daehyun's blood ran cold. This wasn't a friendly visit. This was an occupation. The United Nations decided to respond. Daehyun was chosen to speak for Earth. He stood before the camera knowing the aliens were watching. He chose his words carefully. We thank the Galactic Collective for making contact with us, he began. But we cannot accept your terms. We are not a species that will serve others. We want peace. We want partnership. We want to join you as equals, not as slaves. He waited for their response. It came 3 hours later. The creature appeared on screen again. This time, its expression was different, harder. You do not understand your position. Species from death worlds do not get choices. You are too dangerous to be equals. Your violence, your aggression, your adaptability, these things make you a threat. You will accept our generous offer, or you will be isolated from the galaxy forever. We will place barriers around your system. You will never leave your solar system. You will die here alone. Hyunwoo stood up. They're threatening us. It's worse than a threat, Jeon said. She pulled up a display. They're moving ships into position around Earth's moon. Daehyun felt sick. His wife and daughter were on the moon. They lived in Lunar Colony 7, one of the newest settlements. 50,000 people lived on the moon now, building humanity's future among the stars. Open communications with the collective, Daehyun ordered. Now. When the channel opened, Daehyun spoke with all the diplomacy he could manage. Please let us discuss this. We can find a solution that works for everyone. We don't want conflict, the creature tilted its head. Conflict? You misunderstand. There is no conflict. There is only our will and your compliance. We have been a unified force for 100,000 years. We have uplifted 847 species. We have never failed to bring order to chaos. You are chaos. We will bring you order. Then the creature did something that changed everything. It smiled. It was a horrible expression, full of certainty and cruelty. To demonstrate our power and resolve, we will now remove your lunar colonies. This is your lesson. When we give you a second chance to accept our terms, you will accept. No, Daehyun shouted. Wait, please. The screen went black. Ji-yeon was already moving, shouting orders into her communicator. All lunar colonies, this is Earth Defense Force. Evacuate immediately. This is not a drill. Evacuate now! But it was too late. On the screens, they watched the alien ships position themselves around the moon. Bright lights began to charge on their hulls. Daehyun tried to call his wife. The line was busy. Everyone on the moon was trying to call someone. Please, he whispered. Please let them get out. The alien ships fired. The weapons were silent in space, but their effect was not. The lunar surface erupted in explosions. The domed colonies shattered like glass. Air rushed out into the vacuum. People died by the thousands in seconds. Dahyun watched his world end. He collapsed into his chair. Somewhere he heard someone screaming. He realized it was him. 50,000 people died in 10 minutes. The moon's surface was scarred with craters where cities had stood. The aliens had made their point. The creature appeared on screen again. You have 30 days to accept our terms. If you refuse again, we will do the same to your planet. We will start with your largest cities, then your farms, then everything else. Choose wisely. The screen went dark. The room was silent except for the sound of crying. Dahyun stared at his hands. They were shaking. His wife was dead. His daughter was dead. 50,000 people were dead. Hyunwoo stood up. His voice was steady and cold. We need to call an emergency meeting of all world leaders now. Jiyeon was already on her communicator. I'm recalling all military forces. We need to prepare. Prepare for what? Someone asked. They just destroyed the moon. What can we possibly do against them? Dahyun looked up. His grief was transforming into something else. Something harder. Something sharper. We prepare for war. We can't win a war against them, the representative said. They have 847 species. They've been a unified force for 100,000 years. We're one planet, Dahyun stood. His voice was quiet, but everyone heard it. Then we make them regret ever coming here. They wanted to see what a death world creates. We'll show them. They killed our families. They thought it would break us. He looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. He saw his own rage reflected in their eyes. They were wrong. They didn't break us. They just made us angry. Around the world, humanity began to move. The aliens had given them 30 days. They thought it was time for Earth to surrender. They didn't understand what they had started. They had poked something that should have been left alone. They had poked humanity, and humanity was done being peaceful. The aliens thought 30 days would be enough time for humanity to accept defeat. They were wrong about everything. Minho stood in what used to be a car factory in Korea. Now it was something else. The assembly lines that once built vehicles were building weapons. The workers who once went home at 5 o'clock now worked in shifts around the clock. No one complained. Everyone had lost someone on the moon. How long until the first batch is ready? Yuna asked. She stood beside him, looking at the partially completed warships. They were ugly things, nothing like the elegant alien vessels. Human ships were built for function, not beauty. 72 hours, Minho replied. We're using their own technology against them. When they destroyed the moon, some of their smaller ships got too close to the debris. We recovered 3 of them. We've been taking them apart and figuring out how they work. Yuna smiled, but it wasn't a happy expression. What took them centuries to develop, we've copied in weeks. We're motivated, Minho said simply. Across Earth, similar scenes played out. In underground facilities, in repurposed factories, in laboratories that never turned their lights off, humanity worked. They worked with a desperation that no other species in the galaxy could understand. For the aliens, war was theoretical. For humans, it was survival. Taewon trained soldiers in a facility that used to be a sports stadium. Thousands of men and women learned how to fight in ways the collective had never seen. The aliens fought with rules. They had protocols. They had honor codes developed over thousands of years of civilized warfare. Humans had none of that. Forget fair fighting, Taewon told his students. Fair fighting is for sports. This is survival. You hit them where it hurts. You use every advantage. You make them afraid to fight you. A young soldier raised his hand. But sir, they have better weapons. Better shields. Better everything. Taewon grinned. They have better technology. But we have something they don't. We have anger. We have creativity. And we have absolutely nothing to lose. They're fighting to enforce their laws. We're fighting for our right to exist. Who do you think will fight harder? The soldiers understood. They had all lost someone. The moon had been home to people from every nation on Earth. The aliens had united humanity in a way that nothing else could have. They had given Earth a common enemy. Daehyun stood in the command center beneath the ruins of the United Nations building. The aliens thought they had destroyed Earth's leadership. They didn't understand that humanity didn't need the old symbols anymore. The command center was connected to similar centers in Beijing, Moscow, Washington, London, and dozens of other cities. For the first time in history, Earth spoke with one voice. "Status report," Daehyun said. He hadn't slept in 3 days. None of them had. Jian pulled up the displays. "We have 200 ships ready for combat. Another 500 will be ready in 2 weeks. It's not enough to match their fleet, but it's enough to surprise them." "Surprise is what we need," said Nari. She was Earth's new chief strategist, a woman who had spent her career studying military history. The collective hasn't fought a real war in 10,000 years. They've only fought what they call pacification missions. They go to a primitive planet, they show their power, and the planet surrenders. They've forgotten how to actually fight. "And we haven't," Hyunwoo added. "Humans have been fighting each other for our entire history. We know every dirty trick, every ambush, every psychological tactic. We're going to teach them what war actually means." Daehyun looked at the countdown on the wall. 24 hours until the deadline. The aliens expected a surrender. They were going to get something very different. "Let's review the plan one more time," Daehyun said. Nari brought up a hologram of the solar system. "The collective has their main fleet here in high orbit around Earth. They have support ships near Mars and Jupiter. They think they've surrounded us, but they've actually spread themselves thin." She highlighted several points. "When the deadline hits, they'll expect a transmission from us. Instead, we're going to give them this." The hologram showed human ships appearing from behind the moon, from asteroid belts, from places the aliens didn't think to look. They had been hiding in plain sight, using the debris from the lunar colonies to mask their heat signatures. "We hit them hard and fast," Jian said. "We focus on their support ships first, cut off their supply lines. Then we disappear before they can respond effectively." "What if they retaliate by attacking Earth?" someone asked. Daehyun's expression hardened. "Then we make sure they regret it. We have weapons positioned all over the system. If they attack Earth, we unleash everything." "Yuna, tell them about the special packages." Yuna stepped forward. She looked tired but determined. "We've developed weapons using their own technology, but we've modified them in ways they would never consider. We've made them more dangerous, more unstable, more deadly. The collective has rules about weapon development. They won't use anything that might cause too much collateral damage. We have no such restrictions." She brought up images of various weapons. "We have missiles that can track heat signatures across millions of kilometers. We have mines that can sit dormant for weeks and then activate when a ship passes. We have electromagnetic pulses that will fry their computer systems. And we have one more thing," she paused. "We have kinetic weapons. Simple chunks of metal accelerated to incredible speeds. The aliens use energy shields. Those shields are designed to stop energy weapons and missiles. They're not designed to stop 100 tons of solid metal moving at a significant fraction of light speed." Minho added, "It's caveman technology by their standards, but it works. And they're not prepared for it." The deadline arrived. The alien creature appeared on every screen in the solar system. It looked confident, smug. "People of Earth, your 30 days have ended. Transmit your acceptance of our terms and there will be no more bloodshed." Instead of a surrender, Daehyun's face appeared on their screens. "We have a message for the Galactic Collective. You came to our world. You made demands. You murdered 50,000 of our people to make a point. You thought we would break. You thought we would surrender." He leaned forward. "You were wrong. We are humanity. We are the children of a death world, and we are going to show you what that means. You wanted to see what comes from a harsh world. Look closely. This is your last chance to leave peacefully." The creature laughed. "You have 200 primitive warships. We have 10,000. You cannot possibly." It never finished the sentence. Human ships appeared from everywhere at once. They came from behind moons, from asteroid fields, from the dark side of planets. They moved faster than the aliens expected, using jump drives modified to be more unstable and dangerous, but also more unpredictable. The first wave of attacks caught the collective completely off guard. Human ships fired kinetic weapons at close range. Alien shields tried to stop them and failed. Metal punched through hulls. Explosions bloomed in the darkness of space. Jian watched from her command ship as the battle unfolded. "All units execute random dispersal pattern. Don't let them target you. Keep moving." The alien fleet tried to respond, but they were slow. They followed protocols. They waited for orders from their command structure. Humans didn't wait. Each human captain made their own decisions, adapted to changing situations. took risks that no sane alien would consider. In 4 hours, the collective's first battle fleet was destroyed. Daehyun watched the reports come in. They had won. Against impossible odds, they had actually won. But Nari was already looking at the larger strategic picture. They'll send more ships. This was just their local fleet. They have the resources of 847 worlds. Then we make sure every battle costs them more than they're willing to pay, Daehyun said. We make them afraid. We make them question whether controlling Earth is worth the price. Hyunwoo received a message and his face went pale. The collective just broadcast across the galaxy. They're calling this an insurrection. They're sending their Grand Armada, 5,000 capital ships, support vessels, everything they have. The room fell silent. Then Daehyun spoke. Good, let them come. Let them bring everything. When we're done, the entire galaxy will know what happens when you threaten humanity. 3 years had passed since the Grand Armada arrived. The aliens expected a quick victory. They got a nightmare instead. Hyunwoo floated in zero gravity aboard his command ship, the Defiant. The ship was scarred with battle damage, patched with metal from 3 different alien vessels. Nothing matched. Everything worked. That was the human way now. Commander, we have a collective supply convoy approaching the asteroid field. His sensor officer reported. 12 transport ships, 4 escorts. Hyunwoo studied the tactical display. How long until they reach the convoy's destination? 6 hours at current speed. Good, we have time. Hyunwoo opened a channel to his small fleet. 20 ships, each one a mismatched collection of human and alien technology. All vessels, this is Defiant. We're going to use ambush pattern 7. Hide in the asteroids and wait. Let them get comfortable. Then we hit them hard and disappear before their reinforcements arrive. The human ships moved into position, hiding among the tumbling rocks. They powered down most systems, becoming nearly invisible. The collective relied on their advanced sensors. Humans had learned to use the environment itself as a weapon. The convoy arrived exactly on schedule. The aliens were predictable. They followed routes. They maintained formations. They did everything by the book. Humans had burned the book. All ships fire, Hyunwoo commanded. 20 human ships appeared from behind asteroids, firing kinetic weapons and missiles. The escort ships tried to respond. But they were positioned to protect against frontal attacks, not ambushes from multiple angles. 3 escorts were destroyed in the first 30 seconds. The 4th tried to run. Let it go, Hyunwoo ordered. We want survivors to report back. The transport ships were undefended now. Human boarding parties swarmed them. The aliens inside surrendered quickly. They weren't soldiers. They were logistics personnel who had never expected to see combat. Strip the transports, Hyunwoo commanded. Take everything useful. Food, medicine, weapons, spare parts. We have 10 minutes before their response fleet arrives. The human crews worked with practiced efficiency. They had done this hundreds of times now. Take what you need, destroy what you can't carry, and vanish before the enemy can counterattack. 9 minutes later, the human fleet jumped away. When the collective's response fleet arrived, they found only wreckage and the 1 escort ship that had escaped. This happened every day now, all across collective space. On Earth, Soman reviewed casualty reports. The numbers were horrifying. 50 million humans dead in 3 years of war. But the collective had lost more. Their logistics were breaking down. Their member species were questioning the cost of this war. We're losing people, Soman said to Daehyun. But we're not losing the war. Daehyun looked older now. His hair had gone gray, but his eyes were still sharp. Every human who dies makes the rest of us fight harder. Every alien who dies makes their people want peace. That's the difference between us. Jisoo was one of the most decorated pilots in the fleet. She had flown more combat missions than anyone alive. Her ship, the Phoenix, had been destroyed and rebuilt 7 times. Right now she was diving toward a gas giant, chasing 3 collective fighters. The aliens were faster. They had better shields. They had weapons that could destroy her ship with 1 hit. But Jisoo had something they didn't have. She was crazy enough to fly into a gas giant. Jisoo, pull up. Her wingman shouted over the radio. You're entering the atmosphere. I know, Jisoo replied calmly. She dove deeper. The aliens followed her. They thought she was panicking. The pressure started crushing her ship. Alarm screamed. The heat shields began to glow. The alien ships behind her were having the same problems, but they were designed for space combat, not atmospheric entry. At the last possible second, Jisoo fired her engines at full power and pulled up. Her ship groaned with the stress. Metal bent. Systems failed, but she made it out of the gravity well. The 3 alien ships didn't. Their shields failed. Their hulls crumpled. They fell into the gas giant and disappeared. Jisoo's hands shook on the controls. That had been close. Too close. But it worked. This is Phoenix. 3 confirmed kills. Returning to base. Her commander's voice came over the radio. Good work, Jisoo. But stop taking risks like that. The day I stop taking risks is the day we lose, Jisoo replied. Minho stood in a laboratory on Mars, looking at his latest creation. The Fury drive. It could make a ship jump across space faster than anything the collective had. But it was unstable. 1 in 10 jumps failed catastrophically. The alien species would never accept those odds. Humans accepted them every day. Test successful, Yuna reported. She was working beside him now. They had spent 3 years developing weapons together. The prototype just completed a jump to Alpha Centauri and back. No failures. How long did it take? 4 hours. The collective would need 2 days for the same journey. Minho smiled grimly. Then we're ready. Get this technology to the fleet commanders. We're going to start hitting collective worlds directly. Yuna hesitated. Minho, if we attack their homeworlds, they'll retaliate by attacking Earth. They're already attacking Earth, Minho said. Every week they try to break through our defenses. Every week we stop them. But we can't just defend forever. We need to make them hurt. We need to make them question whether this war is worth the cost. Nari had been studying the collective's political structure for 3 years. She had learned everything about how they operated. And she had found their weakness. They're not as united as they claim, Nari explained to the Command Council. The collective is made up of 847 species, but only 50 of them have real power. The other species are just along for the ride, and many of them are unhappy about this war. She brought up intelligence reports. We've intercepted communications. Some species want to negotiate with us. Others are angry about the casualties. Still others are using the war to settle old grudges. The collective is starting to fracture. Daehyun leaned forward. Can we exploit this? Yes, Nari said. We start a propaganda campaign. We tell the galaxy that we don't want to fight. We just want to be left alone. We show them footage of our destroyed lunar colonies. We show them that we're defending ourselves, not attacking unprovoked. We make them question their leadership. Will it work? Hyunwoo asked. It's already working, Nari replied. 3 minor species have secretly contacted us. They're offering to share intelligence in exchange for promises that we won't attack their homeworlds. More will follow. The collective is built on fear and tradition. We're showing them that the Emperor has no clothes. Taewon led a special forces team on a raid deep inside collective territory. They had landed on a world that was supposed to be safe, far from the fighting. It was a logistics hub, where the collective stored supplies and coordinated fleet movements. Remember, Taewon told his team, we're not here to kill civilians. We're here to destroy infrastructure. Make them afraid. Make them understand that nowhere is safe. They moved through the facility like ghosts. Human soldiers had trained for this. Every human had grown up learning to fight, learning to survive. The collective species had lived in peace for so long, they had forgotten what real violence looked like. Taewon's team destroyed communication hubs, supply depots, and repair facilities. They left behind a simple message written on the walls. You started this. We'll finish it. By the time the collective security forces responded, the humans were gone. They had disappeared into the civilian population, disguised and hidden. The collective didn't know who to trust anymore. This was happening on dozens of worlds. Human special forces teams striking wherever they found weakness. The collective had to defend everything. Humanity only had to attack where they were weakest. In the command center, Daehyun reviewed the war's progress. We're not winning by traditional metrics. They still outnumber us. They still have more resources. But we're changing the nature of the war. They wanted to conquer us quickly and move on. Instead, they're stuck in a conflict that's consuming their entire civilization. Jiyeon added, Our intelligence suggests that the Collective Council is meeting to discuss peace terms. After 3 years and millions of deaths, they want to talk about peace? Hyunwoo said bitterly. Where was this desire for peace when they destroyed our moon? Daehyun stood. We'll hear what they have to say. But we won't accept anything less than full equality. We're not slaves. We're not subjects. We're humanity, and the galaxy needs to understand that we're here to stay. The aliens had expected a quick victory. They got a species that refused to die, refused to surrender, and refused to follow the rules. They got humanity, and humanity was just getting started. 7 years into the war, the galaxy was burning. Taewon stood on the bridge of a transport ship looking down at another collective world. This one had never known war. Its cities glittered peacefully in the sunlight. Its people went about their daily lives, believing they were safe because they were part of the mighty collective. Beginning attack run, the pilot announced. Taewon felt nothing as he gave the order. Target military installations only. Power plants, communication towers, defense platforms. Avoid civilian casualties when possible, but the mission comes first. The human fleet descended like angry angels. Missiles streaked through the atmosphere. Explosions bloomed across the planet's surface. The aliens had defense systems, but they were designed to stop 1 or 2 attackers. Not a coordinated assault by forces that had spent 7 years learning how to kill. In 30 minutes, the planet's military infrastructure was destroyed. The humans didn't occupy the world. They didn't even land. They just destroyed what they came to destroy and left. This was the 200th world humanity had struck. Each attack followed the same pattern. Hit hard, destroy critical infrastructure, and leave. Force the collective to defend everything everywhere. Stretch their forces thin. Make them afraid. Sir, we're receiving distress calls from the planet, the communications officer reported. They're begging us to stop. Ignore them, Taewon said coldly. We begged them to stop when they destroyed our moon. They didn't listen. Now they know how it feels. Some of his crew looked uncomfortable. This wasn't what they had signed up for. But Taewon understood what war meant. You either won or you died. There was no middle ground. On Earth, Daehyun made a decision that would change everything. He called it Protocol Prometheus, and it was humanity's final insurance policy. We're sending colony ships to every habitable world we can find, Daehyun explained to the council. Each colony will be self-sufficient. Each one will have the ability to build warships and weapons. If Earth falls, humanity continues. If the collective destroys one colony, 100 more will rise up. They'll see this as an invasion, someone protested. They'll fight us even harder. They're already fighting as hard as they can, Daehyun replied. And they're losing. Not because we're stronger, but because we're everywhere. We're a virus in their system. Every day we spread further. Every day we become harder to kill. Hyunwoo added. We've identified 500 habitable worlds in collective space. We're going to claim all of them, and we're going to defend them with everything we have. The first colony ships launched a month later. Each one carried 10,000 people. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, farmers. Everything needed to build a new human civilization. The ships used the Fury drive to reach distant worlds in weeks instead of months. The collective tried to stop them. They intercepted some ships. They destroyed some colonies, but for every one they stopped, 3 more succeeded. Humanity was spreading like wildfire across the galaxy. Yuna stood in her laboratory looking at weapons that would have been considered war crimes on Earth just a decade ago. Now they were just tools. The collective had rules about what weapons were acceptable. They had treaties and agreements going back thousands of years. Humanity ignored all of it. The planet cracker is ready, Yuna reported to Minho. One warhead can shatter a planet's crust, create earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, make a world uninhabitable. Minho looked at the weapon with disgust and necessity mixed together. Will we need to use it? I hope not. But the collective needs to know we have it. Deterrence only works if the enemy believes you'll actually use your weapons. The star poisoner is also complete, Yuna continued. We can drop it into a star and disrupt the fusion process. The star becomes unstable. Any planets in the system become uninhabitable. These weapons could kill billions, Minho said quietly. They already killed 50,000 of ours, Yuna replied. And they were prepared to kill billions more if we didn't surrender. We're not using these weapons to attack. We're developing them so they'll be too afraid to attack us. Jiyeon received a communication from the Collective Council. They wanted to negotiate. After 7 years of war, they finally wanted to talk. She brought the message to Daehyun. They're offering peace terms. They'll recognize Earth as an independent world. They'll allow us to keep any colonies we've established. They'll pay reparations for the lunar colonies. What do they want in return? Daehyun asked. They want us to stop attacking. They want us to agree to territorial boundaries. They want us to follow collective law. Daehyun laughed bitterly. They want us to go back into our box. They want to contain us. He stood and walked to the window. Outside he could see the rebuilt lunar colonies. They had been rebuilt as fortresses this time, bristling with weapons. Send them a message, Daehyun said. Tell them no. Sir? Jiyeon looked surprised. This is the peace we've been fighting for. No, Daehyun said. This is the peace they're willing to give us. It's not enough. They destroyed our moon. They killed millions of our people. And now they want to negotiate because they're losing? No. They need to understand that you can't just attack humanity and then ask for peace when things go badly. Nari had been working on psychological warfare for 7 years. She had learned how to manipulate alien psychology, how to exploit their fears, how to turn them against each other. I've been leaking information to certain collective species, Nari explained to the council. Information showing that the decision to attack Earth was based on lies. One faction of the council wanted Earth's resources, so they fabricated intelligence to make us seem more dangerous than we were. Is this true? Hyunwoo asked. It's mostly true, Nari said. But it doesn't matter if it's completely accurate. What matters is that it's believable. And right now the collective species are looking for someone to blame for this disaster. We're giving them a target that isn't us. The strategy worked better than anyone expected. Within months, the collective began to fracture. Species that had been allies for thousands of years started accusing each other of deceiving the council. Old grudges resurfaced. Ancient disputes reignited. 3 species officially left the collective. 5 more threatened to leave unless the council ended the war with Earth. The collective was tearing itself apart, and humanity watched with grim satisfaction. Jisoo flew escort for one of the colony ships. Her job was to make sure the ship reached its destination safely. They were heading for a world deep in collective territory, a world that had been occupied by the collective for 10,000 years. This is crazy, her wingman said over the radio. We're putting a human colony on a collective world. They're going to go insane. That's the point, Jisoo replied. We're showing them that nowhere is off limits. Nowhere is safe. Either they make peace with us or we take everything from them. The colony ship landed successfully. The human colonists immediately began building fortifications. Within a week, they had established a defensive perimeter. Within a month, they were building ships of their own. The collective sent a fleet to remove them. The fleet was destroyed by human defenses. They sent a larger fleet. That one was destroyed too. Eventually, they gave up. The humans were staying, and there was nothing the collective could do about it. Daehyun received another message from the collective council. This one was different. It wasn't offering terms. It was begging. Please, the council leader said. His voice was desperate. You've made your point. You've shown your strength. You've proven that you can't be conquered. But this war is destroying the galaxy. Trillions of beings are suffering. Please, let us end this. Daehyun looked at the message for a long time. Then he composed his reply. You came to our world with demands. You destroyed our moon to demonstrate your power. You thought we would break. You thought we would surrender. You were wrong. Now you want peace because you're losing. But peace isn't something you grant us. It's something we'll take on our terms, he leaned forward. Here are our conditions. The Galactic Collective will be dissolved. All species will be equal. There will be no council ruling over others. Humanity will patrol former collective space to ensure that no species enslaves another. Any species that threatens Earth will face what we call proportional response. The council leader's face fell. You're demanding we destroy our entire civilization. No, Daehyun said. We're demanding you change it. You built your civilization on the idea that some species deserve to rule over others. That idea is dead now. We killed it. You can accept that and build something better. Or you can keep fighting us until there's nothing left. You'll destroy the galaxy, the council leader said. You already started destroying it when you murdered 50,000 people to prove a point, Daehyun replied. We're just finishing what you started. The only question now is whether you're wise enough to stop before we finish it completely. The transmission ended. Daehyun sat in silence. Around him, his commanders waited. Finally, Jiyeon spoke. Do you think they'll accept? Daehyun shook his head. Not yet. They still think they can win, or at least get better terms. So we keep pushing. We keep spreading. We keep showing them that humanity doesn't stop. Humanity had gone from one planet to hundreds of worlds in 7 years. The collective that had ruled for 100,000 years was collapsing. 12 years after first contact, the Galactic Collective Council chambers looked very different. The Great Hall that once symbolized 100,000 years of peace was now a war room. Maps covered the walls showing human expansion across the galaxy. Red markers indicated human colonies. There were thousands of them now. The council elders sat in their ancient seats, but they looked smaller somehow, older, defeated. They had ruled the galaxy for longer than human civilization had existed. Now they were losing to a species they had dismissed as primitive. Soman stood before them as Earth's ambassador. She had watched the moon burn 12 years ago. She had lost friends, colleagues, students. Now she stood in the heart of the collective's power and felt nothing but cold satisfaction. Ambassador Soman, the council leader began. His voice was tired. We have asked you here to discuss terms of surrender. I'm listening, Somin said. The council leader gestured and a hologram appeared, showing the proposed terms. We offer humanity full membership in the Galactic Collective, equal status with all other species, reparations for the lunar colonies and all other damages, territory rights to any worlds you have colonized, and we formally apologize for our initial actions. Soman read the terms carefully. A year ago, humanity might have accepted this, but things had changed. Humanity had changed. No, Somin said simply. The council chamber erupted in shocked whispers. The council leader leaned forward. Ambassador, these are generous terms. What more do you want? I want the Galactic Collective dissolved, Soman replied. Her voice was steady and cold. I want every species in this galaxy to be equal. I want an end to the idea that some species deserve to rule over others. That's impossible, another council member said. The collective has existed for 100,000 years. It maintains order. It prevents wars. Without it, the galaxy will descend into chaos. The galaxy is already in chaos, Soman said. You created that chaos when you attacked Earth. You proved that the collective doesn't prevent wars. It starts them. Daehyun entered the chamber then, along with Hyunwoo and Nari. The council members looked uncomfortable. These were the humans who had turned their organized galaxy into a battlefield. We gave you peace terms once, Daehyun said. 12 years ago, I stood before your representative and asked for partnership. For equality. You answered by murdering 50,000 of my people. Now you want to negotiate? He walked to the center of the chamber. You had your chance for wisdom. You chose violence instead. You thought we would break. You thought we would surrender. Every assumption you made about us was wrong. The council leader stood. We made mistakes. We admit this. But continuing this war helps no one. Billions have died. Entire worlds have been devastated. When will your revenge be satisfied? This isn't about revenge, Nari said. This is about making sure no species ever has to face what we faced. You came to Earth with an ultimatum, surrender or die. You gave us no choice. We're making sure you never do that to anyone again. Another council member spoke up, his voice desperate. But dissolving the collective will create instability. Species will fight each other. There will be wars, invasions, suffering. Then you'll learn to handle it like we did, Hyunwoo said. You'll learn to defend yourselves. You'll learn that survival isn't guaranteed. You'll learn all the lessons that made humanity strong. Jiyeon entered carrying a data pad. The latest reports, sir. Another 200 colony ships have successfully established settlements. Human population in collective space has reached 500 million. The council members looked at the numbers with horror. Humanity was spreading faster than they could track. Every colony was a fortress. Every human was a potential soldier. The collective had spent 12 years trying to contain humanity and failed completely. You can't possibly hold all these territories, a council member argued. You're spread too thin. Eventually, you'll overextend and collapse. Minho laughed. You still don't understand us. We don't need to hold territory the way you do. Every human colony is independent, self-sufficient. If you destroy one, it doesn't weaken the others. It just makes them angry. We're not building an empire. We're spreading humanity across the galaxy, and you can't stop that. Yuna added. And if you try to stop us with force, we have weapons that make your worst nightmares look pleasant. We've been developing them for 12 years. Weapons your treaties and laws would never allow. But we don't follow your laws. We never agreed to them. She projected images of the weapons humanity had created. Planet crackers, star poisoners, self-replicating war machines, biological weapons tailored to specific alien species. The council members looked at the weapons with horror. These weapons violate every convention of civilized warfare, one council member whispered. Civilized warfare? Daehyun said with contempt. You destroyed our moon. You killed 50,000 civilians to make a point. Don't talk to us about civilization. You defined the rules of this war when you attacked us. We're just playing by the rules you established. The council leader raised his hand for silence. What will it take for you to accept peace? What are your terms? Daehyun laid out humanity's demands. The Galactic Collective will be dissolved. A new organization will be formed where all species have equal representation. No species will have authority over another. Humanity will maintain armed forces in collective space to ensure compliance. Any species that attempts to recreate the old system will be considered hostile. Any species that threatens Earth or any human colony will face immediate military response. You're demanding control of the galaxy, the council leader said. No, Nari corrected. We're demanding that no one controls the galaxy, including us. We don't want to rule you. We just want to make sure you never rule anyone else. The council went into emergency session. They debated for hours while the human delegation waited. Finally, they returned. We cannot accept these terms, the council leader said. They would destroy everything we've built. Then we'll destroy it for you, Daehyun said without emotion. He stood to leave. We gave you a chance for wisdom. You rejected it. Again, wait! The council leader looked desperate now. If we refuse, what will you do? Hyunwoo answered. We'll keep doing what we've been doing. We'll keep spreading. We'll keep fighting. We'll turn every collective world into a battlefield. We'll make your lives so miserable that your own people will beg you to accept our terms. It might take another 10 years, maybe 20, but we'll win, because we have something you don't have. What's that? The council leader asked. Nothing to lose, Hyunwoo said. You're fighting to preserve your way of life. We're fighting for our right to exist. Who do you think will fight harder? The human delegation left. Behind them, the council sat in stunned silence. 3 months later, the council accepted humanity's terms. The Galactic Collective was officially dissolved. A new organization formed with equal representation for all species. Humanity established patrol fleets across the former collective space. Some species resisted. They tried to maintain the old order. Human forces dealt with them swiftly and brutally. After a few examples were made, the rest fell in line. Somin stood on the rebuilt lunar colony 5 years after the council's surrender. She was older now. The war had aged everyone, but she had lived to see humanity take its place among the stars, not as servants, not as subjects, as equals who had earned their place through fire and fury. A young woman approached her. Her name was Hana, and she was a tour guide for the lunar memorial. She had been born after the war started. She had grown up hearing stories about the 50,000 who died here. Ambassador Somin, Hana said, there's a group of alien tourists asking questions about the memorial. One of them wants to know if humans will ever forgive the collective for what they did. Somin looked at the memorial. 50,000 names carved into black stone. She knew many of those names. Friends, colleagues, people who should have lived long lives but died because the collective wanted to make a point. What did you tell them? Somin asked. I told them the truth, Hana said. We don't forgive. We don't forget. But we coexist because we proved that extinction is mutual. They learned that you don't attack a species from a death world, and you especially don't attack humanity. Somin nodded. That was the right answer. Humanity had spent 12 years teaching the galaxy a lesson. A hard lesson. A bloody lesson. But a necessary one. She looked up at the stars. Most of them had human colonies orbiting around them now. Human ships patrolled the space lanes. Human soldiers stood guard on 1,000 worlds. The galaxy had changed forever. Daehyun joined her at the memorial. He was old now, his hair completely white, but his eyes were still sharp. Do you think we did the right thing? He asked. Someone considered the question. Billions had died. The galaxy had been transformed. The old order was gone, replaced by something new and uncertain. They gave us no choice, Somin said finally. They came to our world with demands. They destroyed our moon when we refused. They thought we would break. Instead, we broke them. History will judge us harshly, Daehyun said. History is written by those who survive. Somin replied. We survived, and we made sure that no species will ever face what we faced. That has to count for something. They stood in silence looking at the memorial. Around them, children played in the parks.